This Halloween, you can't escape the shock, the terror of Werewolf by Night.
Hey there guys, this is Richard, your host with another marvelous video. This time, Werewolf by Night. MCU's new edition has an exciting kick that can get you hooked. The trailer for Werewolf by Night, which pays homage to vintage horror movies and serves as Michael Giacchino's directorial debut, was first screened at the D23 Expo. The planned Blade reboot and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness both explore the world of goblins and ghouls, expanding the Marvel Cinematic Universe's supernatural side. Werewolf by Night is the MCU project that goes deeper into mysticism, which is fairly appropriate given that Jack Russell has ties to several mystical Marvel heroes. We'll be discussing in this video about the new Marvel movie Werewolf by Night and important topics and themes for the same. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
The excitement and uniqueness comes from
Analyzing the storyline, how the monster hunter comes to the rescue again. With Werewolf by Night, the first Halloween special to air on Disney+, Marvel ventures into the realm of horror films and the lycanthropic character of the same name, played by Guile Bernal. Werewolf by Night, sometimes known as Jack Russell, is a figure with connections to Moon Knight, who hasn't received much recent attention in comic books or on television. But now, in a brand new hour-long journey, he's returned under the direction of renowned composer Michael Giacchino. Priorities first. Who are the Bloodstones? They are a lineage of monster hunters who wander the night to hunt and slaughter monsters with pride, as stated in the gloomy opening narration. The Bloodstone is an ancient artifact with supernatural abilities that has only ever been under the possession of Ulysses Bloodstone, the head of the wealthy family and its patriarch. But because he recently passed away, the Bloodstone is now without a master. When a select group of the world's top monster hunters gather at Bloodstone Manor to remember their brave and deceased commander, Verussa, Harriet Sansom Harris, Ulysses' eccentric widow, welcomes them. Jack Russell, Guile Garcia Bernal, who is keeping a dirty secret, and Elsa Bloodstone, Laura Donnelly, a reluctant monster hunter and the daughter of the recently deceased, are two of the 7 guests. Verussa complains to Elsa in a covert and vindictive manner about her absence of 20 years. Now when the Bloodstone is at stake, she chooses to appear. Pretty practical. Elsa genuinely doesn't care what other people think. All she wants is what she believes is properly hers. Who wouldn't desire the Bloodstone, after all? It provides durability, strength, and protection. Despite showing promise at a young age, Elsa appears to have given up the life of monster hunting she was supposed to lead, and as a result, she's forfeited her right to the stone. Her outstanding combat prowess, however, indicates that she's had some independent instruction. All of the monster hunters present for this ritual had made quite a few kills, but none have made quite as many as Jack, who's made almost 100 kills. How is that even possible? Let's investigate. Verussa informs the gang that a ceremonial hunt will be held to choose the rightful successor to Ulysses. The Bloodstone in this beast's back must be recovered by whoever captures and kills this elusive creature running amok in the maze. Given her lack of experience, everyone is furious that Elsa is even permitted to compete, but Verussa permits her to participate, perhaps as a result of her perception that she has no chance. As the hunters make their way through the maze, the monster's roars can be heard in the night sky. Since it's every hunter for themselves, things get quite gory. Elsa soon demonstrates that she's the best hunter of them all by eliminating her opponents with their own weapons. After Ulysses' Bloodstone is killed, Verussa, his widow, summons 5 skilled monster hunters, Jack Russell being among them, to Bloodstone Manor. Each of these hunters are common cliches to humorously shown inclusivity. They're introduced along with their number of confirmed kills or hunts. The average number was around 30, and the highest was 57. Then there was Jack Russell, with over 100 confirmed kills, sitting there looking like the most harmless person ever. There, they're told to compete in a hunt to choose their new leader, who would control the potent Bloodstone. Elsa, the estranged daughter of Ulysses, also shows up to battle for the Bloodstone, despite Verussa's advice to the contrary. The first hunter she meets is Jack Russell, who immediately asks to avoid conflict and go their separate ways. They are interrupted, however, by the big and burly axe-wielding hunter, boasting a massive 50+ confirmed kills. He lunges and attempts to kill Jack and Elsa, but they both get out of the way barely in the nick of time. Next, we see him swinging at Jack continuously. Mysteriously, Jack seems to be only dodging and avoiding combat as much as possible. Elsa then pulls some wicked Black Widow moves and disarms the Axeman, steals his battle axe, and escapes. The next hunter is met in a courtyard in front of the Bloodstone family crypt. Here, Elsa is seen slowly approaching the half-open door to the crypt when suddenly a hand sticks out and shoots arrows at her. Swiftly, Elsa takes cover behind the door and slams it on his arm. The hunter has a wrist-mounted crossbow. Elsa takes the executive decision of disarming him with the help of the previously acquired axe. The fight doesn't stop there, though. This man seemed to have a ghastly strong will to fight, and so he did. Picking up the axe Elsa had dropped, he runs after her, cutting her behind her knee. A wounded Elsa finds the crossbow arm and finally ends it. In the beginning of the movie, one of the many jump scares occurs when Jack is grabbed by the arm of the mysterious beast that emerges from the underbrush. But rather than panicking, he begins to laugh. He seemed to be at ease. This is due to the fact that Man-Thing, the swamp creature that everyone's attempting to kill, is in fact Jack's friend. It appears that Jack has saved his butt before as well. Man-Thing needs to be saved once more, not killed by Jack. Jack rushes to shelter in a room where Elsa just so happens to be having a break after realizing one of the hunters overheard him. She acknowledges that all she really wants from this bloodstone is for her father and stepmother to stop bothering her. With Jack stating that he's not that type of hunter, the two come to an understanding about not actually wanting to fight. Okay, so why does he desire the stone so badly if he isn't? Truth be told, he doesn't. The ceremonial hunt begins in a large maze on the grounds of the house, and the hunter's quarry is this caged monster that has been implanted with the bloodstone. Russell discovers Ted, a monster he was hunting for and intending to save after meeting Elsa, while Elsa engages in conflict with another hunter and ultimately kills him. Russell goes on to leave Ted to carry out his escape plan and returns to find Elsa concealed in a tomb. Although there's some connection between Jack and Elsa in this scene, we learn more about their characters by seeing how they act and think. Jack and Elsa decide to work together to resolve this situation. Really, it's quite easy. Jack will assist Elsa in obtaining the bloodstone if she helps him allow the monster to flee. Jack is supposed to launch a little bomb at the closest perimeter wall that has a large crack. When Elsa encounters the monstrous beast, he advises her to be friendly and to address him by his name, Ted. Does he look like a Ted? Surely enough, Elsa calling him by his name makes him chill out and greet her like an old friend, and she's able to take the stone from his back. However, Jack is injured and sent flying backward when he seizes the prized artifact. That's because Jack is truly a werewolf and the bloodstone is allergic to monsters. Verussa and Elsa are outraged by this information and feel betrayed. Verussa growls, "I can't wait to discover what kind of wicked you are." However, Elsa speaks forward and claims that she alone deserves the stone, which puts her in the same prison as Jack. Elsa is understandably enraged that Jack hid his monster identity and is very certain that he will murder her as soon as he changes. She informs him that the bloodstone is so potent that it can turn him in just 5 seconds, despite his assurances to the contrary. The full moon isn't for 5 days. He sniffs Elsa, sniffs her, to get used to her aroma in an effort to save her. When Verussa ruthlessly fires the bloodstone at him, Jack's shadow quickly changes into the monstrous creature he manifests once a month. He escapes from the top of the cell dome after the tasers used by the guards fail to hold him in place. Elsa, who's in great fear, watches as the werewolf devours everything in his path. Could she be next? Verussa's hand is bitten by the werewolf, but she manages to get away. Elsa even manages to toss a weapon into her back and yank her away when she manages to regain control of the stone and blast him, nearly killing him. The beast leaps towards Elsa as she tries to reason with him in the hopes that he'll recognize her scent. She holds his lock after recalling Jack's instruction to never lose eye contact, and he releases her before vanishing into the night. When Man-Thing, Ted, breaks through the ceiling and burns Verussa alive before leaving to go for Jack, Verussa stands up and prepares to kill Elsa for being a shame to the family. Elsa takes a seat in the wreckage of her chair while confidently holding the bloodstone. The black and white screen changes to color as Somewhere Over the Rainbow begins playing, exposing her crimson jacket. The following morning, Man-Thing welcomes Jack with a cup of French press coffee as he awakens in the woods. He snarls at Jack, assuring him that Elsa is okay, and the two decide to have some sushi. An intriguing monster, or just misunderstood? Ted is the monster held captive by the Bloodstone family. We're introduced to him first by his fearsome roars from the maze. He makes his presence known to all through the scars of his long claws throughout the arena. Wherever he had laid his hands, the stone would smolder. The first time I saw his face, I just thought he looked like Swamp Thing from the DC universe. However, in comparison, despite having the green, viney vibe in common, Ted is more beast-like. He has a trunk like an elephant and long, sharp claws like Freddy Krueger. A few times we see Ted use his powers, and each time it left a pile of dust in place of his victim. He seems to have the power to exude a bright white light between his hands that turns anything or anyone between them to ash. The monster Ted usually has a monster-like demeanor. The usual roaring, killing anyone in his path, and more roaring. So we don't get to see any display of intelligence until he's communicated with using his name. It's clear that Ted has lived the monster life for a long time. At the same time, he's understood that not everyone is an enemy. Also, we see that deep down, he really is just a cute teddy bear.
Tonight, it is every hunter for themselves.
Exploring the titular hero, monster hunter Werewolf by Night, aka Jack Russell. Russell was never bitten by a werewolf, unlike the most of them. Instead, he received the lycanthropic curse from his ancestors, including his grandfather Gregor, who turned into a werewolf after reading The Darkhold, a cursed book. Every 3 full moon nights, Russell turns into a werewolf and gains healing powers in addition to superhuman strength and speed. However, he loses his human intelligence and transforms into a ferocious beast. He may be slain by silver weapons, much like all other werewolves. In the movie, Russell is portrayed as a harmless human who couldn't possibly harm a fly. He avoids fights at all costs, provides medical aid to random people, and tries to make everyone his ally. At the same time, he isn't silly or an airhead. There is clear emotional maturity in him, possibly due to the duality of his personalities and thus of his life. The acting was so good, it makes you think of how this man grew up to be how he is now. Despite all the messed up experiences his other side caused him, he maintains a rather stable and put-together image. Werewolf by Night was born at a critical juncture. Russell was one of the first supernatural characters Marvel took on after the Comics Code Authority relaxed its rigorous guidelines regarding the portrayal of supernatural forces in comic books. The original concept was created by Roy and Jeannie Thomas, while Jerry Conway and Mike Ploog wrote and illustrated Russell's debut appearance in Marvel's Spotlight #2. Over the years, the Werewolf by Night has made recurring appearances and gained enough popularity to get his own series. The most notable alliances Russell has formed include those with Morbius the Living Vampire and the Werewoman Tigra. He also joined the group of superhuman heroes known as the Midnight Suns. Russell recently teamed up with other monsters to defend all monsters from those who would harm them, including the Man-Thing and the Living Mummy, both of whom can be seen in the Werewolf by Night trailer. Deadpool, who rose to become king of the monsters, even had a terrible encounter with Russell. The Merc with a mouth killed Russell by blowing off his head for having an affair with his wife, Shikla. Being a werewolf, it eventually grew back. But Russell's most notable claim to fame is his role in popularizing Moon Knight. The lunar vigilante first debuted in Werewolf by Night #32, where he was employed by an unidentified corporation to eliminate Russell. The Werewolf by Night faced a tough opponent in Moon Knight, who was outfitted in a silver costume and used silver weapons. However, after learning of his target's humanity, Moon Knight eventually joined forces with the lycanthropic hero. Years later, Moon Knight would assist Russell in breaking free from a criminal organization that was mutating innocent people with his blood. In a recent comic book series called Taboo, co-written by B. Earl and the Black Eyed Peas, a new Werewolf by Night makes his debut with an indigenous main character. Russell and Jake Lopez both inherited lycanthropy from their fathers. He used music, unlike Russell, to tame his ferocious shape. He was quickly entangled in a plot involving a pharmaceutical corporation doing business on Hopi territory and a squad of cybernetically modified troops. Lopez continues to operate as the werewolf after defeating the aforementioned soldiers. A bit about the various kinds of filmography techniques shown in the movie, a blast from Marvel past. Unsurprisingly, Giacchino served as both director and composer for the film, and the music evokes the height of horror filmmaking in the 1950s. Part of what makes the special so believable in its execution is the focus on creating an immersive and successful narrative experience, rather than accidentally dropping Easter eggs, which Marvel is known for doing. However, I won't reveal the identity of the creature the hunters are entrusted with pursuing. It was a lovely, deep-cut surprise. The humor of the show is obviously influenced by co-writers Heather Quinn and Peter Cameron's experience with the MCU. They wrote for Hawkeye and Moon Knight respectively. However, Bernal and co-star Laura Donnelly can carry the humor without it feeling like a burden. Instead of the MCU's customary self-referential manner, the laughs here pull from the innate campiness of classic horror films. You know, the kind that seems like a bad stand-up routine gone horrifically wrong. When things start to fall flat, the star's chemistry makes up for it. With the same intrigue and femme fatale nature as someone like Valerie Leon in Blood from the Mummy's Tomb or Susan Denberg in Frankenstein-Created Woman, Donnelly especially feels like she was taken directly out of an old Hammer film script. We never find out much more about her, and you almost don't want to, other than the fact that she's the heir of a family of monster-hunting madmen, if her stepmother and her father's literal talking corpse are any indicator. Knowing anything more would nearly ruin the mystery of her persona, which drives her wicked urge to take the Bloodstone for herself. Bernal, on the other hand, is a star in everything he does and fits seamlessly into Giacchino's vision, giving Jack Russell a life of his own that makes him captivating to watch, even though ultimately he receives limited screen time in his own special. His charisma is comparable to that of Peter Cushing or Vincent Price, and he uses the same brashness that earned him a Golden Globe for Mozart in the Jungle to make Jack stand out right away. That certainly gives Play with the Blood a new meaning, huh?
You are.
Marvelous verdict, a creative attempt limited only by its duration. After watching the film, I can only say I enjoyed it thoroughly. The movie seems like a modern revisit to the black and white noir monster movies of the past, to the extent that they even added small white circles on the top right corner of the screen from time to time. This was used back in the day to hint to the theatre workers that it was time to change the reel. The authenticity truly can't be challenged. Even the sound effects and lighting were emulated perfectly. It was a short, crisp introduction of the lycanthrope into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Peace without blood, and so it shall be. So it shall be. So it shall be.